Hi, my name's Nisha, or Grad Med Gal, and today's video is going to be talking about volunteering and work experience. I'm going to share with you a little bit about what I did for volunteering and work experience to get into med school, and then I will also give you some tips and tricks on getting the most out of your volunteering and work experience, and finally I'm going to offer you some suggestions for getting work experience during these coronavirus times when it's going to be quite difficult to get maybe more hands-on experience. So starting with volunteering, and I'll start with sixth form, I did 4 months once a week as a ward volunteer, handing out meals and drinks to patients. I also volunteered at a youth club for autistic children, and that was supporting 9 to 15-year-olds in play and in their social interactions to make sure that they were having fun and staying safe. And I did that one once a week for a year or so, maybe a little bit more. Then when I got to uni, I was part of a mentoring charity called Shine Mentoring, and I started out as a mentor. So we went into schools for children and worked with children aged 9 to 11, mentoring them, offering pastoral and academic support. In my second year I was a team leader, so supporting our mentors as well as continuing mentoring myself, and in third year I became a committee member, so supporting the team leaders, the mentors, and I continued mentoring. And in my second and third year I was placed in a school for children with social, emotional, behavioural and mental health needs, and that was because of my previous experience working with autistic children. That was really fun. I really enjoyed my mentoring. It was so rewarding. I got to work with these kids and kind of see them flourish over time, and that was great. So after university I kind of dropped volunteering for a bit whilst I was working and getting into the swing of things, and then when I kind of realised that maybe I want to pursue medicine in early 2019, I decided to start picking up volunteering again. So I'd already done some overnight shelter volunteering at my church, and so I did the early shifts, and I was working with people experiencing homelessness, and serving them breakfast and sort of chatting to them. Then I did another volunteering at a hospital as a ward volunteer again, but this time it was more sitting with patients and talking to them, making sure that they weren't feeling lonely, doing crosswords with people, and sometimes I'd also support with meal handing out because it was quite a big ward, and I thought, let me help with this. And then I was also volunteering at a toddler group that was down my road, so my work was super flexible and we were able to work from home 1 day a week, and during my lunch break I'd go and play with these kids and make sure that they were safe and help set things up and tidy things away. So that was really nice as well. So that's kind of my volunteering over the last 6-7 years. And then in terms of work experience, I remember at sixth form when everyone was applying for medicine, it was really difficult to watch loads of people very easily get work experience and shadowing doctors and that kind of thing because they had parents or close family members and friends who were able to easily sort that out for them, and I didn't have anything like that. So it was my parents asking their friends who asked their friends, and kind of really struggling to get that sort of experience that you think looks good. But I managed to do a little bit of shadowing of doctors in one place, and that was really interesting. I got to see some open heart surgery, which was really cool. And then I also managed to do maybe the equivalent of a month shadowing on a neurophysiology ward, and of course that's not with doctors, but it's still in healthcare. Everyone was really lovely there. They let me sort of sit in on all the examinations of people, and that was super interesting. And then at uni I also just decided to email people and see if they'd let me come in and talk to them and see what they did, maybe shadow them for a day. So I got some genetics counselling shadowing because I was really interested in that as a career through the NHS scientist training programme at the time. So I just went and sat in on some genetics counselling sessions, and yeah, that was also really interesting. So it's very, like I just mentioned, it's really difficult when you see all these people around you getting all kinds of fancy work experience, shadowing doctors and that kind of thing. And I remember feeling really sort of hard done by because I didn't have those opportunities that these people all seem to have. So for example, I remember in sixth form when I was doing that ward volunteering and handing out meals, this other girl who was in my class, she was also doing that, but because she finished earlier on that day, she got to the hospital earlier, and then she was telling me how she got picked up by this doctor who said, oh yeah, come shadow me, that's fine, like forget doing this stuff that you're doing now, just come and go around with me because you're interested in medicine. And I remember feeling, oh, that's not fair, because I was still in school, I couldn't come early and I wasn't in the right place at the right time. But then I kind of had a realisation only maybe in the last couple of years that actually that wasn't necessarily right. If you're volunteering, you're there to fulfil a role, and that role is really important, otherwise why would it exist? And you're actually helping out a lot more if you're helping with patients and handing out meals and that kind of thing. So at the time I was really jealous of her for managing to land this great shadowing opportunity. I realised that I was still there doing what I was meant to do, and that was just as important, if not more so. So that kind of smoothly segues me into my tips and tricks. So if you're struggling to get your shadowing doctor experience, don't worry about it. It is absolutely not necessary, and I know that they say this on the applications when you're looking at universities, but it is really hard to believe it when you see all these people getting all this fancy work experience, but you don't need it. And actually the stuff that was most valuable to me was the kind of volunteering with the patients and just sort of talking to people and understanding what they needed and wanted from people. And you have this great opportunity as a volunteer because you're not employed by the hospital to do the work, you're not rushing around to like make sure everyone's seen. You get to just support people and be that ear that they can talk to, and that was really good for me. So yeah, don't worry about not having shadowing doctor experience, it's fine. There's so many other things you can do that will probably impact you more. Second tip and trick the second tip I would suggest would be to keep a diary of your volunteering experience and write down like what you learned from it that day, anything particularly interesting. It's really hard when you've been volunteering for a long time to go back and kind of think, what did I actually learn from this? But if you've written down what happened on the days that you were volunteering, you can just go back to that and kind of read through and understand what you did, and then reword that in a better way for your application. So definitely keep a diary. It doesn't need to be written. I remember when I was coming back from my volunteering in the hospital after work, I would just sit on the tube and write it in the notes on my phone, and then I just have loads of notes of volunteering diaries. But make sure you don't like save any patient details or anything like that that you shouldn't have on your person. Just keep it anonymous. Use they rather than she or he. Just those kind of little things. Then a third tip or trick would be to think you don't need to get your work experience conventionally or your volunteering experience conventionally. Like with the toddler group and with the overnight shelter, I was still volunteering with vulnerable groups or people made vulnerable by their circumstances, just out of virtue of being little or experiencing homelessness, for example. And that yeah, you still get to experience all kinds of people. That makes you an open-minded person. You hear lots of different stories, different people's backgrounds, and it is really interesting overall. And I mean, if you realise that you don't like that kind of thing, then maybe you need to think about whether medicine is for you, because understanding people and being empathetic is like a really important trait for medicine. Then what else would I say? It's quality, not quantity. So you need to get loads and loads of stuff. I was volunteering a lot because I genuinely really enjoyed it. But it is exactly about what you learn from that and why that has influenced your decision towards continuing to pursue medicine. So make sure you make that really clear in your personal statement. Like, talk about a particular experience that meant that led you to be like, actually, yes, I really do want to do medicine because of this. Then I would be completely remiss to not mention my work at the Care Quality Commission. That absolutely is very niche, first of all, but that absolutely gave me a really good foundation for understanding like health and social care and what's going on in that landscape, as well as the people work with a whole variety of vulnerable or people made vulnerable by their circumstances and different patients. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on it, but that really helped me. So if you're doing graduate medicine, you might have a job before you do that, and just consider how you can translate the skills that you learn in your job to how that will help your patients. Even if you're in any kind of customer facing role, sort of speaking with people, understanding their needs, and providing a good outcome is exactly what you do as a doctor. So it's all about transferable skills and how you're going to be able to use them and how that's going to make you hopefully a good doctor in the future. So those are some tips and tricks. This might end up being a part 1 video because I might think of some more things. Another tip that I have is, if you have a department or something that you're interested in going to shadow in to see what they actually do, just Google that department, find a person and email them. And I found that more often than not, they're happy to have you come in. And if they're not, you can always ask, maybe could I have a phone call with you, just so that you can understand a little bit more about what they do. And then at least in the future, if they find themselves in a position to be able to have people come in, you have that person as a contact. Finally, my suggestions for getting work experience during coronavirus times. So a lot of volunteering programs in hospitals are still going ahead. But I understand that some people might be worried about risks and that kind of thing, and that's absolutely fair enough. So there are still hospital volunteering opportunities, for example, and other places. If you've been an NHS volunteer, that's perfect work experience. You can talk about that, talk about how you supported the NHS during the coronavirus lockdown. I would also suggest things like looking at different charities who might be offering helplines or like buddy systems for volunteers to talk to the charity's clients to combat loneliness and that kind of thing, make sure no one's needing anything. So those kind of volunteering opportunities are really good because it requires a commitment, and you're still talking to people and you're supporting and providing a really important role in combating loneliness and isolation. They also have like the Samaritan's Helpline or Nightline, so being on call to speak to people who might be really struggling with their mental health is another option to look into. So those are kind of some more non-contact kind of ways to be getting some work experience and that kind of thing. Or even if you've just been volunteering in your community during coronavirus, getting people shopping, that's all really important. And and valuable contributions and help that you've been providing. So just think about what you've done in any capacity, whether it's healthcare or not, and just see how you can transfer what you've learnt, and what you've learnt especially speaking with people, to why you see medicine as a good career for you. I think that's it for now, but yeah, like I said, if I think of anything more, I'll make another video. But otherwise, let me know if you have any questions, any suggestions for future videos, and yeah, I will be making some more videos soon. Okay, bye!